Welcome to DEFCON 3. I'm KT McFarland. Increasing violence between Israelis and Palestinians is raising renewed fears that the Holy Land is moving towards a third intifada. As tensions rise, the White House is trying to figure out a new approach to dealing with the situation. Well, here with reaction are former Defense Department spokesman J.D. Gordon and retired Air Force Colonel Cedric Leighton. Welcome, gentlemen. Colonel Leighton, let me go to you first. Are what we see now, the violence in Israel, is this a third war, a third Palestinian-Israeli war?
Well, I think it certainly has the hallmarks of the beginnings of a third intifada, and that is something that's very serious, very dangerous, and especially given the fact that there's so much going on in the Middle East between what is happening in the Israeli-Palestinian situation as well as what is happening in Syria and, of course, Iraq. This makes for the perfect witch's brew of crises in that region of the world.
J.D., why now? Is something changed? Why are the Palestinians launching these attacks now?
KT, good to see you. Well, I think the reason is because the Palestinians see the Israelis on the ropes right now. They're emboldened to take action and to increase the violence. And there's a few reasons they see Israel on the ropes. First is pressure at the UN. Just a few weeks ago, the UN put up the Palestinian flag at the UN headquarters. That's for member states. The Palestinians don't even have a state. That's number one. Iran. Since the P5+1 didn't stop Iran's nuclear program, Iran is going to get a nuclear weapon. You have Iranian leaders saying Israel won't even be here in 20 years. That's number two. And number three, I think the Palestinians see a very frosty relationship between President Obama and Prime Minister Netanyahu, and they want to drive a Mack truck through that gap, and they want President Obama to openly side with them.
Cedric, J.D. just mentioned Iran and Iran's role in all of this. What's the Iranian-Palestinian connection, if any?
Well, there's a huge Iranian-Palestinian connection, and part of it runs through Hamas. The Iranians sponsor Hamas quite a bit, and of course their Secret Service as well as the Revolutionary Guards are very much involved in supplying arms to not only Hamas but all the other Palestinian groups that are there. And it is in Iran's interest to foment as much trouble on the Israeli-Palestinian border and within Israel as is possible.
J.D., if Iran, one of the rationales for the Iran nuclear deal was that we, the United States, would have a better relationship with Iran and they would help us with these regional issues like the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Is there ever any evidence that this is panning out, that Israel is trying to fan the flames?
None whatsoever, KT. I mean, Iran still wants to wipe Israel off the map, and now they're going to have billions of dollars to funnel to terrorism against Israel through Hezbollah and Hamas. And so it's a really bad situation for everybody in the Middle East except for the Iranians and their allies.
Mm-hmm. Cedric, Secretary Kerry is on his way to Europe, and he's going to meet with Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu to talk about this. Is there any prospect that there's going to be some new peace initiative or some kind of shuttle diplomacy between the Israelis and the Palestinians?
I think Kerry would love to do something like that. I think that would cement, in his mind, it would cement his legacy as a peacemaker, and that's, you know, how a lot of secretaries of state, I think, view themselves. But I think real concrete peace possibilities are almost absolutely non-existent. This is a very tough situation, and both sides have been very intransigent in their dealings with each other, and the idea that they could have peace at this particular point in time is certainly, while not impossible, it's highly unlikely if it is just left up to them. On the other hand, there are a lot of voices in the Arab world that will privately tell you that they want peace and that they're tired of the Israeli-Palestinian fighting that is going on right now, and that they personally, at least, don't support this. But these are voices that right now don't manifest themselves in the policies of the region.
I'm going to give you the last word, J.D. We've seen these kinds of conflicts before. Is there anything different about this one, or will it end in the same stalemate, nothing much happens until the next time, as Prime Minister Netanyahu even calls it, you got to mow the lawn every now and then? Is this different?
Yeah, I think it's going to continue along what we've seen in the past. I think it's very important to note, KT, that since the 70s, you know, the Israeli leaders have always been the ones willing to compromise. It's the Palestinian leaders that always walk away. And today in the Gaza Strip, you have a terrorist organization, Hamas, which was democratically elected. They want to wipe Israel off the map completely. And in the West Bank, you have Fatah. And Fatah wants to have a situation where they have the right of return for Palestinians, Israel back to the 1967 borders, which are militarily indefensible, and they don't want Israelis in the Jordan Valley. So basically, Fatah wants a situation where Israel could not be a Jewish majority state. So none of the Palestinian leaders want Israel to exist as it is today. So I think people have to understand that.
J.D. Gordon and Cedric Leighton, thanks.